Welcome to the Peachtree Podcast. Peachtree Learning Center is a nonprofit in Middle Tennessee dedicated to training and discipling students in all the fine arts to become excellent and skilled in order to spread the kingdom of God into the world of the arts. On this podcast, we will discuss topics designed to encourage, uplift, educate, and equip people to proclaim the kingdom more deeply in their own families and communities. I want to welcome you back to Peachtree's podcast. We're super excited today to welcome a special guest. We have with us Adam Drake, who's coming to us from the set of The Chosen, where they're about to start filming season 4, I hear, on Monday. And the connection that we have with Adam is very kind and very sweet, and it kind of weaves back and forth, especially with me, because I knew Adam's parents before he was in filmmaking. But it's really neat to watch how his family's kind of woven back into Peachtree's life, and now they're part of the Peachtree community. And we've been talking about people and being intentional with their creative children and feeding those gifts. And we want to kind of explore that topic with Adam today. So welcome to the show, Adam. Thank you so much for giving us part of your morning this morning, and probably getting up a little early to get ready for this. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you're out in Texas. You said you're in the Dallas area filming?
That's correct. We're just south of Dallas in Texas, about to start on Monday.
Okay. And so what does Monday's shooting schedule look like?
Yeah, it's packed full with actually none of the main characters that you're used to, but the exciting thing on Monday is we have babies. We're filming with babies on Monday, so that'll be fun.
Oh, that'll be fun.
That's always a challenge.
Yeah. What is it? Children and pets upstage everybody else, right?
Exactly. Yeah, children and animals, and we do that like every day on The Chosen. So.
Yes. So nobody adult gets a big head. That's So. And your title is assistant director, correct?
Yes, I'm the first assistant director and co-producer as well.
That's great. What a journey you've had, and I want to hear you go back and speak about. So when along your childhood path did you get drawn into filmmaking or even filming anything? When did that kind of show up in your childhood walk?
Yeah, so for me, that was much later. I was a big sports guy. I loved sports, which didn't come from my parents either. They weren't really big sports people, but I was obsessed and in love with basketball. So I didn't even start to get into the arts really at all until college. The only thing I did was I really enjoyed drama through like my church, because I didn't have time to join the drama at my school or any of those things because the basketball took up all the time. So the only drama I could do was through my church, and my parents did a lot of that. So I do stage plays through my church, and I always really enjoyed it. My parents always said I was naturally good at it and encouraged me in that. But basketball was the focus. So then when I went to college, about my junior year of college, I got an agent and started getting into some acting and started getting in music videos. And I went to school in Nashville, went to Trevecca, Nazarene University in Nashville. And so then got on music videos and commercials and things like that, started getting on sets as an actor. And then that's when I really fell in love with it and getting on the scene and just absolutely feeling called to it and feeling and loving it and wanting to create my own content and not just be in front of the camera.
Right. So you don't act too much anymore, though. You've basically shifted completely to being behind the camera, right?
Still kind of do it just for fun. So it's fun is like a lot of projects I work on. They might just go, oh, we need an extra spot. We'll throw Adam in there. Like I just did a Mel Gibson movie last year, and I was the first AD, and the director was like, oh, Adam would be great for this role. Let's just put Adam in there. And it's the opening scene of the film, and I'm playing a cop, and I come up on the kid. And the opening scene of a Mel Gibson movie, which will be in theaters hopefully sometime this year or next year. And so fun stuff like that is really cool, where I just get a small little role where they'll just throw me in there. And I enjoy that.
That's super fun. That's a little bit along the lines of, that makes me think of Peter Jackson sticking his mug on every Lord of the Rings movie at some point, or what's the guy with Marvel, Stan Lee, jumping into every movie that he directed. Yeah. That's fun.
Exactly.
That's super fun. That's one of those little things that they'll talk about 20 years from now. There'll be a little Easter egg. Look for Adam Drake in the last movie. That's great.
I'm still working on Dallas to get one of those little appearances on The Chosen, but he hasn't gone for it yet.
Well, you've got the beard, so
exactly.
It'd be easy. So how so shift gears back to you went from directing. You went from acting into kind of trying to get more behind the camera. So what kind of role would you describe your parents having in that? Were they always super supportive? Did they ever have doubts about, we want to make sure this is what you're supposed to do? You said you felt called to this. So this was something that just resonated deep in your spirit, basically. You felt like this was something you could do well, and God had a purpose in that for you. So can you describe how they reacted to that, or how they supported that?
Yes, of course. So my family was always, my parents both were always so supportive of whatever I chose. They
Hmm.
honestly um, didn't care because my dad's a family practitioner. He's a doctor. And so, they both, my mom has a master's degree too. So they both did higher education. So they
Hmm.
both wanted me to go to college, but which was fine because I wanted to play basketball in college. So it worked. But that was kind of the only push, was that they wanted me to go to college. But as far as career, they very much supported me, whatever it was, when it constantly changed or was changing. For
Right.
3 years of college, I mean, my major, I think, changed like 12 times because I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just wanted to play basketball. And so from
Mhm.
my freshman to my junior year, I constantly changed my major, was trying to find the right thing. And my parents supported me all through that. They were, again, what mattered to them
Mhm.
was what I felt called to do, what God wanted me to do. And so,
Mm.
of course, in my junior year, I just had a very big week, and where I was just praying, and just, it was just so obvious when it happened that God was calling me to this. Once I started getting involved in the business, it was just like, this is my mission field. This is what I'm supposed to do. And
Mm.
so when, of course, I felt that calling on my life, my parents were ecstatic, and they, because I had been searching. And so, of course, they were very supportive, even though they knew nothing about the movie business.
Right.
I mean, honestly, when I was a real young kid, we didn't believe in going to the movies because, like, they were against that.
Right.
So it's funny now that I make movies for a living, but of course it was different then. And of course they
Yes.
don't believe that now, but it's just kind of funny how that comes around. But
Mhm.
that's how
Mhm.
supportive they were, to
Mhm.
where it's like, it didn't matter what it was. They were going to support me, especially when they knew that I felt called to it and felt like this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right. I think God is sweet to put families together on pages like that. I know in our family walk, we've had several times when we came together as a family and prayed over something, or we all went to our own rooms and prayed about things, and came back a week later and said, we all see what you're saying, and this is what you're supposed to do. And then when you know the Lord's in it, it's not walking feels disobedient. You just have to go do it, no matter what,
Totally.
and you don't have to know the end result either.
Yeah. So it was really cool to kind of go on the path with them because, of course, they knew they have no connections or ties to this business at all, or know anything about it. They've learned everything through me. And so it's just been but they completely supported it, even though they were completely in the dark.
Right. No, I think one of my earliest memories of you in this business was the movie that you filmed locally, and part of it was shot at their house, and I loved being in their house and kind of seeing the garage turned into a crew feeding station, and they were so completely engaged and excited about what you were doing, and I really marked that in memory as a very sweet picture of parents just being all in because you were all in and they wanted to go with you, and
Exactly. Yeah.
I
They
love
they
that.
they suffered through 50 people being in their house every day for several weeks, and, like, I mean, a film crew on your set is no fun at all. And so they suffer. I would say they suffered, but I think they did enjoy it. But I think it's suffering to have all those
Uh,
people in your house for that long
They
and
seemed
supported.
very, very good natured
Yeah.
about it. I don't remember there being any talk of suffering. I think what my memory was is that they had a really good time and they seemed to really enjoy the process thoroughly. And having their house decorated for Christmas in July didn't bother them a lick, and it was very
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Well, if you talk to my mom or dad, it is a little different. Mom had an incredible time and had so much fun. My dad was like, yeah, I'm kind of ready for everybody to leave.
Well, that's understandable. That's great. So that was probably what, 8 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
2000. It's getting close to 10 years. I think I made the
oh
film
wow.
in 2016, something like that. I think
Mm,
2015,
16.
2016. So not quite
Okay.
10 years.
Okay. Not as long as I thought. And then you went
Yeah.
from there on. I mean, you've kind of exploded, really. Somehow you talk about those connections you made through that movie that led to the next thing, because it really is almost like jumping from, like lily pad to lily pad on top of the pond, right? Like you were able to find the next step.
It's very much a niche business. It's very much networking connections. And the film world is already a very small and kind of small world. And then I've been in the faith-based film world, which is even smaller, of course.
Right.
And so everybody that's in that world, I know them, or we know of each other, or we work
Mm-hmm.
together. So it's like, kind of, once you get connected, everybody knows everybody. So yeah, just constantly doing that, and went to lots of film festivals and conferences and things like that. So actually, Heaven Bound, the film that I made at home,
Uh-huh.
was one of the main reasons I got to meet Dallas Jenkins. So um,
Mm.
you know Tori Martin. So Tori
Right.
Martin and I made Heaven Bound together. We were taking it to a film festival and showing it at a film festival. And Dallas was showing his film Resurrection of Gavin Stone, which is also a comedy.
Right.
And our
I've seen
film
that
showed
too.
back to back. And
Okay.
Tori already knew Dallas, so Tori introduced me to Dallas. And he watched our film. He loved Heaven Bound, thought it was great. He had made Resurrection of Gavin Stone, so we connected on that. And then he found out that I also was the first AD. And so that's where we connected. And from there on, he was, he would call me to go, hey, can you come do this project with me? And wanted to basically interviewed me. And then that's ultimately how I got on The Chosen.
That's great. That's really powerful. I have suspected that the faith-based filmmaking industry was pretty small, like you described. We watch a lot of British TV and movies in our home, and it's kind of become a game when we see people that we know to name all the other things they've been in. Because I think of that as being a rather small world too, and it's kind of similar in that way. You watch faith-based movies and you see people that you've seen in several other projects, and it's very fun to watch people's careers kind of jump around like that, and they all know each other, and you can tell they're comfortable because they've seen each other before, and there's already existing a chemistry and a camaraderie, and of course a faith platform to stand on, and that's really sweet. That's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to see people you worked with. Now I've been doing it since 2010, so going on 12, 13 years, I guess, and so it's so fun to see somebody I worked with 10 years ago, and then all of a sudden see them in a big show or movie, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like just seeing people grow. It's fun. Yeah.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about Amanda. When did you meet? Did y'all meet in college?
High school. We met very young. So,
Oh, really?
yeah,
great.
we met in high school, but we actually didn't start dating till my first year of college. So she was in Livingston. I was in Sparta. We actually met in North Carolina, though, at Windy Gap, the Young Life Camp. That's where we met.
Huh.
Yeah, that's a fun story. But then, yeah, we started dating. I originally went to a school in Kentucky. I got a scholarship to play basketball at a school in Kentucky. And every time I went to that school, I would drive through Livingston. And so we ended up going out to a couple lunches, and yeah, basically the rest is history. But then then I transferred back went to Trevecca to play basketball there, and then she went to Cumberland University, so they're like 30 minutes apart, right there in Lebanon. Then she kind of jumped around. She was at Murfreesboro, MTSU, and a few other places. But yeah, we dated all through college. Got married the year I graduated, and she was still in college. And then we went out to. Now, when I went to Trevecca, they didn't have any kind of film program. Now they do, but then they didn't. And they had a one semester school called Best Semester Ever or something like that. It's LAFSC, Los Angeles Film Studies Center. And it was right in the heart of LA. And so I went out there for one semester. Right after we got married, she went with me. So she went out there and just waited tables while I did that school for a semester. And it was great. Learned a lot, but hated LA and didn't want to, and knew at the time that that's how you get in the business though. Came back to Nashville and was like, well, I'll just pursue stuff here, like commercials, music videos, things like that. But then again, like right when I got in the business, it's God's timing. That's when a lot of film productions started pushing Southeast, like Georgia started getting really busy, New Orleans, even Florida, Kentucky, some shooting in Tennessee, North Carolina was big. A lot of my first jobs were in North Carolina. So yeah, when I came back east, and because I didn't want to be there, we wanted to be here, and we lived in Nashville for our first 5 years of marriage or so. And then I started getting outside of Nashville and doing a lot more movies instead of like music videos and commercials and such. And so, and then we wanted to have kids, and we adopted the twins and had a baby. And Amanda's like, I don't want to be in Nashville by myself. Let's go back to Cookeville where we can be right in between our families. I said, because you're traveling all over the world anyways. So that's what we did. So we came back to Cookeville like 2016, I think. We came back to Cookeville, and yeah, so that's how we live in Cookeville, and I still travel and do movies everywhere else except Cookeville. But we love being home to Cookeville, to Peachtree. It's obviously been incredible for our children, and we love the environment of Cookeville, and we're close to both of our families. Where her family is also very supportive, just up in Livingston, and mine just down in Sparta.
That's super sweet. Yes, I knew she'd been on this journey with you. I didn't know how it all started, but I know she's super supportive and very excited for you, and always right there when you're at a show or at I love seeing pictures of y'all on social media at different events and getting to attend things together. And she has a great ministry in her own right, has started the Foster Closet, which is fantastic resource for the community. And I know she supports you and you support her in that, and your family is beautiful, just in a lot of ways. It's really sweet to see. But
I say she does. She does all the work. She's the one that puts in all the work. I'm just the one that actually makes the money. But she puts in all the work with the kids and the foster clubs and everything she does. I just play for a living, and I happen to make the money.
well, being gone, I think would be hard. It's got its own challenges. I know, but
Sure.
I love watching that, and I know you've got some children in your house that are also creative, and you're trying to feed those things in them as well, and kind of help them pull that out.
Yeah, which is great. So, to kind of put it on the flip side, talking about my
Mm-hmm.
parents supporting me and us
Right.
supporting our children, Amanda and I, neither one would consider ourselves artists. Like we were both like jocks. Like I played basketball, I played sports. That was my thing. She played volleyball in college. We're both sports people. We can't play the piano. We can't sing. We don't play guitar. We don't do any of those things. And of course, all our kids do. None of our kids are interested in sports, but that's great. We love it. So
Right.
as they've been growing up, we tried a couple sports and they just weren't into it. And so Peachtree has become a more of a place where we hang out instead of the gym. Amanda and I grew up hanging out in the gym, but that's not where we hang out now. And but we're totally fine with that. We love, of course, we love our kids are always playing something in the house. Jacob's always playing the
Mm-hmm.
guitar and one of the kids is playing the piano. And so we
Yes.
love it. So even though neither one of us really grew up in a home like that,
Right.
it was definitely more sports. We didn't grow up with hearing like people play music.
Right.
We love having that now. It's a very different environment than what we were used to growing up, but we both love it.
Yeah, I have had that experience myself. I know what you're saying about just following them and see where they go, and then loving it because they're there. That's really kind of how it feels at our house too. We played a little bit of music growing up, but had no idea our children would be musicians. And suddenly they're both musicians, and they're grown now. But their whole teenage years and young adulthood in the house with music just going 10, 12 hours a day, and it's a way of life, and you love it because they're there, and you love your kids, and you want them to succeed at what they've got put in them. So it's fun. It's like opening a package and watching it unfold over about 20 years, seeing what comes out of it and what's good at,
Yeah.
what they're good at. That's sweet. Yeah, and they're all very talented. You've got some fun stuff. You'll have your own film scores being written here before long, right?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool. That's great. So tell us a little more. Since we're here, I want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about The Chosen. So it's something that started 3 years ago. So we mentioned you're filming season 4, but it started at the beginning of it. Was anybody predicting like this is going to be some huge runaway thing? It was definitely a unique offering in the way it portrays Jesus and the way it portrays the people of that time period. It's very creative in that way, but it's also from what I have seen, and I've seen a lot of it. It's very respectful of the material, and I love that y'all are unapologetically respectful of the stories themselves and the scripture and the way they're told, but also have gotten to do some creative thinking through how it might have looked or what the people might have been doing in context. So speak to that a little bit. Did you have people behind you that just said, oh, this is the way to go? Or was this a few people saying, we want to do this, but we have no idea where it's going to go kind of thing?
Yeah. So when Dallas first wrote, it started out where he just wrote the first 4 scripts to see if it could get headway to make the next 4, because it was going to be 8 episodes. Each season is 8 episodes. And he had made The Shepherd, which is what we call the pilot, and which was a short film for his church. That was kind of like in this series, the idea he had for a series. This was kind of like the pilot, and so he filmed that for his church, and it blew up on the internet and went nuts, and lots of people watched it. And then it got some companies like Angel Studios that wanted to back it and come put money behind it and start a series. So they started a fundraising campaign, a crowdfunding campaign to shoot the first 4 episodes or shoot a season. And so that's when Dallas reached out to me, sent me the first 4 scripts, and said, hey, we're going to shoot these 4, see how it goes. If we raise enough money, we shoot the next 4 and finish out a season and kind of see how it does. And Dallas said, when he sent it to me, he goes, now, this has potential to be huge. He said, I think this is really good. He's like, this is like the best thing I've written in my career. And I remember reading the first 4 scripts, just being blown away just by the scripts.
Yes.
And most of the time that doesn't happen. Read scripts, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good, or that's fine, or it's not very good. And I do remember reading the first 4 scripts going, wow, I've never seen it like this. If he can pull this off, if we can pull this off, this will be huge. And so it was that from the beginning going, this has potential to be huge. Of course, we didn't know how big it would get. And
Sure.
You can't say, oh, well, we knew it was getting here, but it was one of those things where this has potential to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I first read the scripts, the first thing I saw was when I was reading the scripts, I was like, man, I just can't picture Jesus in this way. Like, who can play it that well? Like, even picturing the only Jesus picture we'd all seen at that point, Jim Caviezel from The Passion, even that, I was like, I just don't see it being done that well. And I remember asking Dallas, I go, listen, the script's really good, but who in the world are you going to have to play Jesus? Because I've never seen it done this well on paper, but they really have to pull this off. I don't know an actor that can pull this off like it is in. And Dallas's response was, oh, it's a friend of mine. He's been Jesus for me before. I was like, oh, great. This is going to be crap. Like, just thinking, of course, it's the guy's friend. I'm like, oh, this is going to be bad. But that turns out to be Jonathan Roumie. He had done the guy who plays Jesus in The Chosen, who had played Jesus for him in shorts before. And of course, as you know, if you've seen the show and other people know him, he's incredible. And so it was really cool. I remember when we first started filming, I felt the same way too, just going, wow, this is, even though it started out real small budget, similar to the same size stuff I'd been filming other stuff. I do remember it just being different, going, wow, this is really good. And then once the actors started saying the lines, I was blown away in those first 4 episodes of how good the actors were. I was like, these guys just have these roles down, are so good, because the actors in The Chosen weren't names. Nobody knew who they were or anything, but they were incredibly talented. And so, yeah, it definitely saw the potential from the very beginning.
It probably feels a little bit like lightning striking a certain way. It all came together at the right time. I remember hearing Mel Gibson talk about that with when he did make the Passion movie, talking about how all the things had lined up for him to make that at just the right time with the right people. That's very sweet. Well, it's an exciting ride. It's great to watch, and it's exciting to know that those kinds of projects are getting backing and people are receiving them well, and the spread of it has been fantastic to watch. To know that there's something a godly offering like that out there for people to watch, and families can watch it, and kind of all ages. My experience has been all ages are excited about that show. So it's super fun to know that you're out there, that we know somebody that's connected with it, and thank you for talking to us about all these things today. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Enjoyed it.
God bless what you're doing, and we'll be excited to know when you get to come home, and hopefully we'll see you around Peachtree sometime soon.
Yes, I'm sure you will.
Thank you, Adam. It's great to talk to you. Good luck.
Thank you.
This has been a super fun time talking with Adam Drake from the set of The Chosen. We are very excited to see where his next steps take him. And hopefully it's also encouraged you, especially if you're a parent of a creative child, to just let that child's creativity flow and find ways to support them and encourage them and go on a journey with them to see where God takes them. And to go there as a family is a super deep joy. So thank you again, Adam, for your time, and God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining us today. To support this podcast, please go follow us on your podcast platform of choice. And if you're interested in knowing more about the work of Peachtree, please go visit our website at peachtreelearningcenter.com for more information.